Okay, so Dashakam 22, if you remember, we had seen the story of Ajamila, how he got moksha. Next is Dashakam 23, Daksha Charitam and Chitraketu Upakhyanam. Now, Daksha Charitam, it is still in detail as per in Srimad Bhagavatam, but here Bhattatri has to condense different topics under one Dashakam. So, in about 10 verses, 11 verses roughly, he tries to cover various aspects. So, now, Prachetasastu Bhagavan Aparohi Daksha. In fact, what happened is now here, as per this reference, Aparaha meaning another Daksha, not the Daksha, not Daksha Prajapati. In this reference, it is given as Aparohi Daksha, meaning another Daksha. It seems that he was the son. Now there are Prachetas. Prachetas are a group of deities, and their son was this one particular Daksha. And he wanted to beget children also for many years. He didn't have children, so he started worshipping the Lord, and the Lord blessed him and gave him a boon, saying that you will be blessed with children, and also gave him a lady, Ashikni. Ashikni was his Vadhu, gave him this lady as his wife, told Raksha that you marry, and with the help of her, you can beget children. Now, what happened is this Daksha, what he did was he begetted about 11,000 sons. Now, when we talk about all these stories also and these numbers, please note that we should not feel all this is mere fantasy also. Now, for this, there are many reasons. How can a human being beget 11,000 children? Is it even possible? 50 years back, 100 years back, our own ancestors had many kids. Today, the structure has changed. Maybe two, it has reduced to even one. Some people now, they say that we don't want kids at all, right? So that doesn't mean today, if we are in this scenario, doesn't mean that 50 years back, how can my grandmother beget 11 children, 12 children or so? We cannot say that it is impossible. But now again, a question comes, where is 11? Where is 11,000, right? But Kala difference. Kala Yuga Dharmam. There is something called Kala Dharmam, Yuga Dharmam, saying that depending on the yuga, the lifestyle also changes. Now, if today the average human lifespan is 100 years, in those time it was in thousands, right? So obviously, if things are in thousands, even the, like say Rama lived for about 10,000 years, 11,000 years, Rama Rajyam we say. So obviously, the things that he does in life will not be as per a lifespan of 100 years. Now, if human average lifespan is 100 years, then we can say, okay, roughly at the age of 25, 30 or so, a person gets married, then he gets into married life, then at the age of 60 or so, he retires. Slowly it is old age. By 100 he dies, or before 100 he dies. For a lifespan of 100 years, we can make this calculation. But if a person is living for 1,000 years together, 10,000, 11,000 or so on, obviously everything is going to change, right? Maybe his capacity of begetting children, when he begets children, at what age, and so on. We cannot compare that with today's lifestyle. So the point is, when why I told you this, when such numbers come in, we should not feel that it is somehow, how can it be, this is just fantasy. You are doing something wrong because you are comparing it with today's lifestyle. Nobody told you to do that. Yuga dharmam differs. Like in the case of Rama Treta Yuga, we say he is 8 feet tall. When we say it is 8 feet, how can a person be 8 feet tall? You have seen people being 6 feet tall in Kali Yuga. That doesn't mean that nobody can be more or less than that in before Yugas. We have not seen that. So there is something which is called Yuga Dharma. Now life keeps changing even after a span of few years, that is there, right? Things which seem to be impossible today might be possible tomorrow. So therefore, Yuga Dharmam changes. Yuga Dharmam is nothing but rules set as per a particular time period. They do keep changing. So therefore, these number of suns also can be more. This is one reason. Second reason is, there is, now when we say all these suns or so, it cannot always be biological. It's not this thing. Like in the case of Kauravas also, if you see, Gandhari, she did not biologically give birth to 100 kids. She just went into labor only once. But what happened is, now, little if you get into the Mahabharata story, you'll know that now both Kunti as well as Gandhari were pregnant at the same time. But Kunti went into labor first and Yudhishthira was born. Gandhari could not bear this. Now, Duryodhana, if you see the evil that he had in his mind, and his, you can say, the lust or greed for the kingdom started well before he was in the womb, well before he came out. Inside the womb only it started, because it was in the blood of Gandhari. Gandhari wailed out at that time, saying that, oh, this Yudhishthira is born first, now he'll get the kingdom first. The child is not, the child is just born. her own child is not even come out of the womb, but her worry for the property has already started. And that's when she wails out, saying that now Kunti's son only might get the share of the kingdom. My son has lost because Yudhishthira has become elder, not my son. In this wailing, what happens is she hits her stomach. At that time, she was carrying the child inside, but the child had not yet developed. That's the reason she didn't go into labor then. But then the fetus that was there inside, it falls down. It was just a ball of flesh because there was no development that had taken place. Still time for Gandhari to go into labor. So in her wailing and shouting, pressurizing herself, she hits her stomach. The ball of flesh, or you can say fetus, that falls down, becomes lifeless. Again, she wails out, "Oh, 9 months I kept my child, 12 months I kept my child, nothing happened." 12 months I'm considering as per the Ramayana. ततश्च द्वादशे मासे चैत्रे नाममिखे तिथौ. So now at that time, what happens is Vyasacharya comes there. Vyasacharya, what he does is he picks up the ball of flesh, makes it into 100 different parts, keeps them all in a coconut shell. We have this concept of test tube babies that was done then in the Mahabharata times. Keeps them in 100 different shells, inserts some life into them through his yogic powers. That's how the 100 Kauravas are born. So now when we say, the point of telling you all this is, when we say 100 Kauravas, it's not that Gandhari went into labor 100 times. She went into labor only once, but 100 children were born. So similarly here, Daksha also, this is one thing. Or even there is a concept of Manasaputras. In the case of Brahma, for example, Jambavan, Narada, and so on. Or maybe we say, right, we look at our neighbor also, he is like my own son, or maybe our own cousins or brothers, siblings, children also, they are like my children. It doesn't mean that biologically you're given birth to them, but the child has been born. So like this, in those times there used to be many children. And again, when a king used to defeat another neighboring king also, he will end up marrying the princess of that land. So she might have some kids also, they also come along, and that's how the king might have many children. So the same thing happens here also with Daksha. So Daksha here, what happened is he 11,000 children were born to him, and at this time 11,000 sons were born to Daksha. But what happened is all of them went into the path of sannyasa, went into the path of sannyasa or brahmacharya, you can say, as per the advice of Devarshi, that is sage Narada. Now Daksha obviously did not like this, right? You see, even one child you see going on the path of sannyasa, though parents might be happy, you still have the dukkha, right, of getting separated from your children. 11,000 sons, that too he didn't have a single child. Now 11,000 sons all are being on the path of sannyasa. Daksha ended up cursing Narada. न एकत्र नैकत्र वासं ऋषये, न एकत्र vasam ऋषये. He cursed Narada, saying that you will not be able to stay in one place. That's the reason Narada moves about everywhere, all through Bhuloka, Swargaloka, Vaikuntham, and so on. He curses, Daksha curses Narada. Narada takes this as a blessing, saying that I don't want to live in one place. Let me go about everywhere chanting Narayana, Narayana. And he considered the curse also as a blessing. Now what happened is, but Daksha also did not leave home. Next, he begetted about 60 daughters. And that's when, now here what happened is, verse number 3, you have the reference of Narayana Kavacham. Now, in the lineage of Daksha, his daughters, you can say, Daksha's great grandson, in that his name was Vishwarupa. Now, Vishwarupa, what he did was, he made Indra, the gods and the Asuras, they had a battle. So this Daksha's great grandson Vishwarupa, he helped Indra win a battle against the Asuras. And how was Vishwarupa actually chanted the Narayana Kavacham? Few of us, I think, we had learned the Narayana Kavacham. Vishwarupa helped Indra by teaching him the Narayana Kavacham, which is again praise of you. So Tvadiya Mahima Khalu Sarva Jaitra. Bhattatri highlights Narayana Kavacham also in verse number 3. Next, what happens is, so this with this the story of Daksha Charitam ends. First three verses, Bhattatri just touches upon Daksha Charitam and he moves about. Next, he talks about a king called Chitraketu. Now there was a kingdom, Prakshurasena Vishaye. Prakshurasena Vishaye. Shurasena is the name of a kingdom. In that kingdom, there lived a king called Chitraketu. Again, this Chitraketu, he wanted a son, but was not blessed for many years. So he got the blessings of the sage Angirasa. But now what happened is, though a son was born, this king Chitraketu, he had many wives. So when he had many wives, the child was born only to one wife. So all the other wives, they became jealous. that this our husband Chitraketu is not capable of begetting even a single child. Now some blessing he has got from someone, only one amongst us is being able to beget a son. What about all others? So in that jealousy and anger, what they did was they ended up killing this child also. Listening to all this, Amuhyat Amuhya Davashastavamaya, so verse number 4, last line, wherein the king, out of grief, he could not bear to hear this news, he faints and falls down. Finally, what happens is Narada, at this time, Narada and Angirasa, both of them, what they do is they go to Chitraketu. Now, Chitraketu had fainted and fallen down. Both of them, they go and wake them up, and with their yogic powers, they show the king Chitraketu the Atma of his dead son, that is the soul of his dead son. And it seems that through the yogic powers of Narada, the soul, the child who was there, it asks, "Who am I? Whose son I am?" and so on. That's when king who was there, he what he now listening to this, now here there is a sukshma that is there. Now what happened is Chitraketu, in front of Chitraketu only, the soul that was there, the body of the child was no longer there, the soul of the child was only there. Soul never dies as per Gita, the philosophy, and so on. So the Atma that was there inside, in front of Chitraketu only, Chitraketu the king was there, the Atma of the son asks in front of Chitraketu, "Whose son am I?" This question, when it asks, uh, kasyasmi putra iti tasya, verse number 5. When this words Chitraketu hears, he did not likes he did not like it. Now in front of our own father or mother, if we tell that whose son I am, if we ask this, they are never going to like it, right? Because we feel that or in general also, if you see, we are known by their name, by some identity, and so on. So when this was asked, it seems that Chitraketu comes out of Maya, Tavama Yaya Sau, meaning he understands that this entire world is just delusion. Only till this physical body is there, someone is related. Once the body leaves a person, there is no father, no mother. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. For this birth, this set of people are my parents. Next birth is again going to change. So it's going to keep changing. Nothing is fixed at all. So Chitraketu here imagines, I put in so much of efforts. I went to Angirasa, I sought his blessings, I begetted a child, everything happened. Finally, now once this child dies, its soul is asking, "Whose son am I?" Doesn't even know that it belongs to me, Chitraketu, I am his father. Listening to this, Chitraketu comes out of Maya. He says everything is just temporary. This body is also temporary. And saying so, both Angirasa and Narada, both of them, they tell Chitraketu, now you retire to the kingdom and you engage in worship of the Lord. And different mantras, etc. Narada teaches him. And it seems that Chitraketu, he started worshipping the Lord in the form of Adishesha. Tosha Yashesha Vapusho, verse number 6. And it seems that within 7 days or so, he went to the level of demigods. So we have Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, and so on. Vidyadharadipatitam. So by his worship that was there, Chitraketu got the status of Vidyadharas. In fact, Vidyadharadipatitam, Vidyadharanam Patihi, meaning the leader of a set of demigods called Vidyadharas. But still, he was not that happy. He continued to worship the Lord. Now, finally, what happened is the Lord was blessed with him. Verse number 7. Tasmai Mrinaladhavalena. Mrinala meaning a lotus stalk. So as white as lotus, that is the comparison here. Dhavalaha is white. So the Lord finally comes and gives darshana to Chitraketu in the form of Adishesha, having Sahasra Shirshna, having 1,000 heads. He blesses him. And in fact, there the Lord also imparts a lot of knowledge of the self. That is mere sheer philosophy that is there. Everything the Lord teaches to Chitraketu in the form of the Lord. Now, finally, Chitraketu was very happy. He roamed about in the world here and there for many years. He lived in the world very happily, but free from all kinds of attachments. He was a leader of Vidyadharas. Now, here, if you see, Vidyadharas are a set of very beautiful and handsome people. Why so? They are, you can say, like Apsaras also. They're known for their art skills and so on. So they look very beautiful. In fact, they are always young also, you can consider. And he used to Sundari Bihi, in fact, this Sangapayan Gunaganam Tava Sundari Bihi, verse number 8. Sundari Bihi is adjective used for Vidyadharas. So he lived Sundari Bihi. So basically, you can consider females. So he led the group of them, and always, wherever. Now in heaven we have a set of different gods, right? Gandharvas, Yakshas, Danav, Vidyadharas, Apsaras, and so on. So these Vidyadharas are quite beautiful and handsome to look at, and Chitraketu used to lead them, and all of them used to sing the Lord's glories, it seems. Finally, what happened is, finally, towards the end, when his uh, death was near, he went to the Himalayas, and there he saw Lord Shiva. Atyanta Sangha Vilayaya. Atyanta Sangha Vilayaya meaning Atyanta Sangha. Sangha meaning all kinds of, you can say, attractions or sensuous pleasures or being caught in things. Okay, I have group of Vidyadharas, I have this, I have that. So a lot of connections, right? So to get rid of all this, finally he goes to Kailasa. There what happened is Angajarim. One निःशङ्कमङ्ककृतवल्लभ अङ्गजारिम् अङ्गजारिं तं शङ्करं परिहसन् उमयाभिषेपे. Angajarim meaning the destroyer of Kamadeva. Angaha. Anangaha, in fact, is another word for Kamadeva as per the Kosha, as per Amar Kosha. Angajarim is a person who is a destroyer of Kamadeva, none but Shankara. So, along with Shankara and Uma, both Parvati and Shankara gave darshana to uh, Chitraketu. But now Chitraketu also, as destiny has to play his role, Chitraketu, Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi. Sometimes we don't do things intentionally, but things happen with us. Like this Chitraketu, what he did was, Shankara was sitting along with Uma, along with a lot of sages, Bhutaganas, and so on. This person, what he did was, he just mocked or just went away or just teased Shankara. Maybe he didn't do that intentionally, but he ended up doing that. Uma didn't like this. Parvati did not like this. Now, why it actually happened is, if you see, Nishankamankakrita Nishankamankakrita Vallabha Mangajarim. Ankakrita Vallabha. Ankakrita meaning, if you see, Uma was sitting very close to Shankara. So basically, on the lap of Shiva, you can consider Uma was sitting. So this Chitraketu did not like a bit, and little he started mocking. Oh, the goddess is always sitting very close. So lap in the sense you can consider very close, or there are certain references or pictures where you can see Parvati sitting on the lap of Shiva. So that was a bond that they had. So this Chitraketu did not like, and he ended up teasing Shankara. At that time, Parvati, she got angry and she ended up cursing Chitraketu. And Chitraketu, as I told you, Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi, he did not feel like even asking for forgiveness. He was born as an Asura, Vritra Asura. And while later in the next Janma, what happened is Nissambramas Twayamaya Chita. Nissambramas, meaning one who is not affected at all. Or at that time, his mind was distracted, he did not feel like asking for anything. Nissambramas Twayamaya Chita. He was born as Vritrasura and he had a battle with Indra. At that time, what happened is, now all the knowledge which he had gained, that he did not forget, and he imparted all that knowledge which was told by the Lord Shesha. Vishnu in the form of Adi Shesha had imparted knowledge to Chitraketu. Chitraketu in his next birth as Vritrasura imparted all that knowledge to Indra. This is how he reached Vaikuntha. That's how uh, the story goes about. Finally, what happened is, Tvatsevanena Diti Indra. With this, the story of Chitraketu ends. But now, next, Diti, the mother of Asuras, what she did was, she started worshipping you. But the three highlights, that is, O Lord. Diti, the mother of Asuras, also has started worshipping you now because she wants a son who will kill Indra. But instead, what happened is, she gave birth to Marut. So that story, we know how Indra goes inside the womb of Diti, cuts the fetus into 7 into 749, and that's how Maruts are born and so on. That's a different story altogether. So she had a plan, but what happens is, so Kashyapa had told Diti you have to do very severe tapasya, this, that, and so on. Everything Diti follows, but ultimately Indra goes in the form of a disguise, cuts open the fetus in 7 into 749. That's how the Maruts come. But what happened is, instead of fighting with Indra, the Marut Ganas that are there, they become friends or very close to Indra. So thus what happens is, so here Dushtashayepi Shubhadaiva Bhavanyasheva. Bhattatri says, even evil minded people, or let's not say even minded people, Even if people they have some evil thought or evil wishes to be fulfilled, if they end up worshipping you like Diti did, she had an evil motive. She wanted someone to kill Indra, but even though having this evil motive, somehow you changed her wish. That is, even those who ask for wrong boons also, or evil boons, something which will cause, you can say, destruction, to them also you guide them on the right path, and you bless them with good only. So here, like here, one example is given here. Diti, she asked for someone who would kill Indra, but a child was born, or the 49 Maruts were born, who rather became good, or you can say rather became good friends of Indra. So you are the one who, even if people ask something evil, you give them good. I am here asking for help, but you are not blessing me. Saying so, Bhattatri wails out. So Tattadrishastvamavamam pavanalayesha. So here, O Lord of Gurvayur, you bless me. Even evil people or people who ask with evil intentions, you are blessing them with good. Why not bless me with good health then? Saying so, Dashakam 23 comes to an end and he wails out.